GNT Show is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. These are the voyages of the GNT Show. Our continuing mission to explore Star Trek storytelling, to seek out new worlds and interesting characters, to bold we got where no show has gone before. Live long and prosper, bitches.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the GNT Show, episode 259. Also, it's November 6th, 2016, for Michael Hinman. I'm Terry Lynn, and across the table is Gettysburg 7.
Jolan True Bitches. How are you all this morning? And sitting next to me, wearing her one-piece jumpsuit from the Nostromo, it's Ripley Lynn.
Ripley Lynn.
Ripley.
Stay away from her, you bitch.
Next to us, not sure if he's phasing in and out. He's having some temporal mechanical issues. It's Ceridium.
Grumble, and Kapla.
Oh.
And across the table, making a legal ruling as we speak, and it doesn't look good for you, Trek geeks. It's Jesfa.
Please stop trying to bribe the judge. But,
Here come the judge.
If you're going to do that, just, deliveries in the back. Okay?
Hey, whoa.
Here comes the money.
From the stands, there's Sunseal. I feel like
Hello.
Mike Douglas. Oh, look, Miss Sunseal's in the audience today. How you doing, Miss Sunseal?
I'm in here specifically because it only seems like Mike's mic is working because I'm here.
Yeah, some kind of weird voodoo shit is happening. And there he is, taking it all in, looking from atop his throne, just shooting Spider in the foot by accident. It's Alan.
Good morning. How is everyone today?
And I can tell Terry is cocking her head at the Spider reference. Good fellas.
Oh, okay, thank you.
What am I, on a pay no mindless? No, I thought you said you were good, Spider, so I think... Nah, I'm not good. Dance the fucking drinks over here. Dance the fucking drinks.
Okay, then.
We replaced Nick's coffee with double
Psycho.
espresso.
Speed.
Can we tell the difference?
Did we get everybody introduced?
Oh, and there he is, locked in a room by himself with no sunlight, eating boiled food. It's Steve.
Hello.
Okay, Steve, you can do the intro.
What did you do this week? Coffee clutch.
It's always so nice to have Steve here when he's got the intros ready to go. It's just kind of cool. Not to say that Ceridium doesn't do amazing work.
Way to
I want to make sure that he knows
Way
that
to
I know
go.
that. I know.
Nice.
Thank you,
save.
Steve. I know. What? Still. So let's start off.
Show of hands, who saw Doctor Strange?
I have not yet.
I have not.
My mic still works. I have.
Yay!
You have, Mike?
Yes, I have.
I will just say two things about it. One, the wife called it the best superhero movie ever. It's really, really good. Two, here's my only complaint. My only complaint. And if this is my only complaint, this is going to tell you something. It's totally jarring for me to see a whole movie with Benedict Cumberbatch with not an English accent.
Oh, and how did he do it?
He sounded very American. He was good.
So he was kind of like...
I mean, he's always great. Like Oliver used to say, he's a British national treasure. But it was just really jarring because I think it's the first time I've heard him talk without a British accent.
It's taken him, almost a decade to figure it out?
Yeah, and was it jarring for you, Mike?
It was unusual to say the least, and it took some getting used to. But after a while, it seemed to work. You just got over it. But it was enjoyable. I'm not familiar with Doctor Strange going in, so
It's very faithful. It's very faithful.
For me, it was a new experience, and it was different. I mean, it's not what I'm usually used to seeing when someone says, "Let's go watch a Marvel movie."
It adds, no pun intended, a whole new dimension to the Marvel universe.
Boom, boom.
Doesn't it, though?
It does.
But isn't this where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is isn't this where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is also bridging the bit against sort of the alien side and the more magical side now as well in this season?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, sure. Let's introduce magic into the whole mix of superheroes
Why
because it's not
not?
like we haven't had Thor already.
Well, speaking of which, all I'm going to say is make sure you watch the post-credit scenes.
That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. No, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I really am. I got
It's visually, it's remember how blown away you were when you saw Inception?
I never saw Inception.
Yes.
Alan did.
Alan, you let her not see Inception?
She didn't want to see Inception.
Can't you control her?
I've never been able to control her.
Well, Alan, remember how blown away you were?
Yeah.
I have to take this picture.
Multiply that times 100.
Well, you can just tell from the ads and the previews and everything that it's almost like mind bending how much they've the visuals are.
Yeah.
All kinds of things were getting bent in that movie.
Yeah, seriously.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I was gonna say what?
All kinds of things were getting bent in that movie.
Rachel McAdams was in it.
Dr. Frankenfurter turned into Laverne Cox.
That picture I just posted in the chat room is Chloe saying goodbye to Genevieve and Zeta.
Oh.
I know. She's all like, "Where are they going, Mom?"
Are they leaving?
Yeah, they're heading out back to California. So, getting on the road.
They were just passing through.
Genevieve's a very good hugger.
She is. She's a very good hugger. She said goodbye, by the way. I have not seen Doctor Strange. I don't know anything about the comics, but all I know is the this month's Marvel Collector Core box that I got had a if you guys see these Marvel Collector Core boxes are freaking amazing. They come with every other month, and then they come with a T-shirt, one or two little items off to the side, but it always includes a pop vinyl because Funko is actually the people who make this box. So every month you get like a T-shirt with the little Funko pop vinyl character on it, and so this month I got the pop vinyl of Doctor Strange, and he's kind of shimmery, so I guess he's levitating.
It's his astral body.
Huh?
Astral
the astral
projection.
body. Okay, that. But it came with a big mug. So it was like a pop vinyl head, Doctor Strange head. And, I have to take it. It's a visual. It's really cute. And it's just his head, but it looks like a pop vinyl of Doctor Strange. But I swear to God, if I didn't know it was Doctor Strange, I would swear to God it was a Riker.
Nice.
It's very funny.
I want to point out
good.
for the
Thank
peanut
you, Alan.
gallery.
As a matter of fact, I'll take a picture of it here. Da, da, da.
I just want to point out for the peanut gallery I thought that Nick said Astroglide.
Oh,
That's what I heard.
that's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other thing. All right, I'm going to post the pic. There's the picture of the mug. Isn't he cute?
Ooh, a mug with a goatee.
That's awesome.
Isn't it
Wow.
He looks like an angry Riker,
He
though.
totally looks like an angry Admiral Riker.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's like, Beth.
I look at that and I see Elio.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Oh my God, it's an Elio from Priority One mug. That's hilarious.
Speaking of which,
Yes.
speaking of Ilio, something that I've been thinking about this week
Okay.
with some things that have gone on in the Trek community, which I'm sure we'll get to. Last week we had our 24 hours.
We did?
It was last
I must have missed
It
that
was
one.
last week, yeah.
Still
It was last
recovering.
week.
Okay,
Holy
yeah,
cow.
because I'm still recovering also.
Everybody is.
And thank you to everyone who participated, who donated, who spent time with us. Just amazing. Our fans never fail to just blow my mind. Our dopey little podcast that we do and the people that are loyal to us. But I was thinking about it this week, and I was laughing because of the idiocy of the court proceedings. And, fandom, and we do it, fandom gets a bad rap when fans are fucking douchebags and, the whole true fan thing and shit like that. But nothing to me speaks higher than what fandom is than when Trek Geeks were on. when Mission Log was on, when fellow podcasters who we all get along and we share on each other's shows and laugh and do stupid shit like that court proceeding.
That was hilarious.
And it just speaks to what fandom can and should be.
Oh, what?
It was very hard to keep a straight face during that. I had an enormous amount of fun during the whole 24 hours, but those 2 hours in particular, I don't know, I was just on, and it was
such
side laughing hurt.
It was such a juxtaposition. Wow, I got the word
from
out.
the Women at Warp.
We went from Women at Warp, which was a completely cerebral, very intelligent conversation, to what can only be described as chaos and madness.
We went from McNeil Lehrer to Three's Company.
yeah.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
But that's what fandom should be. People that share the same passions and everything, able to get together and just, there was no, I'm just going to say, and when Mission Log was on too, and when Women at Warp was on, and there's nothing, now I need to preface this, Women at Warp, there's nothing misogynistic or anything about what I'm about to say. But when all these different podcasts got together and we were all talking, there was no dick swinging as to whose is the biggest. It was just, let's just enjoy being with each other.
Yes. And that's the one thing I really have to appreciate about the Star Trek podcasting community, that I think that we were able to show, especially during the Mission Log, the podcast at STLV, the
match game.
The match game. Just the presentation that we had at Roddenberry stage. Yeah. The panel was great. And it shows that each one of us, we all have a different way of expressing our love and our fandom. And we all have different, listener bases, and we love it. But we all get along. There's no reason.
We're the morning zoo of
pretty much.
I even said as we have this kind of a Howard Stern aspect to our show from time to time, but that's what kind of sets us apart from Women at Warp, who have an amazing show, and they talk about topics that nobody else talks about. And the guys over at Trek Geeks are hilarious. And
there's ones like Sci-Fi Diner that we're friends with, and Priority One, and who's one of the first people every year at STLV to come find us and give us all hugs? Ilio.
Yeah, it's true. And we love Priority One. And Priority One, they're starting to expand out. They're starting to do more stuff than just Star Trek Online, which I think is fabulous. And it's funny is that, everybody else would think, well, aren't they in competition? I mean, seriously, you guys, when there's no money at stake.
Exactly.
When there's no money at stake, who cares? Who cares? And there's no money at stake, and there's never going to be. Really, we're podcasters. We talk about Star Trek, and yay!
Oh, thank you, Grim. You know what? I'll take that.
He
says he always pictures WKRP situation when we all get together.
Oh, thank you. We'll take that.
Oh, yeah.
God is my witness. I thought turkeys could fly.
Turkeys could fly.
Oh, the humanity! You know what?
God.
Now I'm gonna have to watch that episode.
Well, 'tis the season.
Yeah. Well, I think that, we pretty much covered Coffee Clutch this morning, and I agree we should move on with book news.
Tell me a Star Trek story. Book news.
All right, Mikey, are you there?
Mic check.
Yeah.
Mike's got the check.
I can't believe this first link. I really just can't.
You can't?
No.
Didn't JK talk to us about it?
My brain didn't soak it in, but I guess it's happening.
And we were throwing other ideas for him to do. So coming soon.
Coming soon. Star Trek The Next Generation and Aliens crossover has been announced.
So awesome.
Can you believe that? Oh. What's this, Jim?
It's awesome.
I just, I have 3 words. Wesley meets Xenomorph. Please.
There's a line in this article that says, here's a spoiler. If their phasers are only set to stun, this book won't go past issue 1.
No kidding. It was like total party wipe.
Yeah.
TNG crew dies. It's like, what? So it just didn't stick with me when JK mentioned.
We were pretty tired by that
We
point.
were tired.
Oh,
It
God.
just didn't stick. So this cracks
Nothing
me up.
stuck.
So yeah, that has been announced, and the link will be in our show notes with regards to the article. When is it due to be released, Mike? Do we know?
That's a good question. Let me check. I'm checking. April 2017. Tentatively.
Just in time for Easter.
Of course.
Because nothing says the resurrection of Christ like TNG and aliens.
There are hidden eggs that
Those
you have to
eggs crack
find.
open
That's
food
true.
just in time for the holidays.
Yeah, that's true. Steve had a good point in the chat room. He said the TNG crew would be wiped out by the alien, but only if David Mack writes it.
Here's a thought: if there's a Zeno and Wesley instance, does that mean Crusher has a Ripley moment?
That'd be fun.
Stay away from him, you bitch.
I don't know. I think she goes stay. It's Wesley. Never mind.
It's Wesley. Never. She turns around, walks away.
They're aliens. Shut up, Wesley.
Yeah, but which Wesley is it? Is it the mortal Wesley or the traveler Wesley?
In
'Cause that would be
TNG, they're
cool if
still
the
all on the
crossover-
same ship, so it's got to be
Well, it
like.
depends on what point in the TNG era they pull from. I mean, if it's something during like season 1 where with Tasha still around, and shut up, Wesley.
Yeah.
Now, Mike,
Yes.
here's a wet dream for you. Xenomorphs on a Klingon ship.
Oh,
You're good from orbit.
Bat lifts and xenomorphs and
That would be.
tarks.
Acid
Oh
blood
my!
all over the floor.
That would be fucking awesome.
Xenomorph blood is acidic, so how would Batless? They would like melt after a while.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is you know how Klingons are. They would just go charging in with the batless.
Well, yes, they would, and they would try to make a pet out of them for a bit.
That would be the best.
Come here, Spot. Come here, boy. That's a good spot.
You know who I would feel sorry for? The Gorn. They'd maybe get one step and be swarmed by xenomorphs because they move so slow.
Could you imagine Klingons with pet face huggers?
Could you tell the difference?
Couldn't tell the difference.
Oh snap!
Or
But
imagine-
I'm thinking Gorn with them would be maybe we'd ship them.
Or imagine
What
what
do
a
you think?
xenomorph would look like when it
Gorn
came out of a Gorn.
Xenomorph slash.
Yeah, there you go.
I can already tell you how they're going to defeat the aliens. Tribbles.
Tribbles.
Hordas. Hordas and xenomorphs fighting.
Hey, no spoilers on how the TNG crew pulls it off, okay? Come on.
Wait, could you imagine? Or Dr. Ree against xenomorphs?
Dr. Ree, because his bite has its own issues.
Yeah. Okay, if you were going to do a Star Trek crossover, what would you do?
As far as
Sorry, Grimmy.
Laverne and Shirley.
Star Trek and Laverne and Shirley.
Hello. Oh my God! With an alien world, nothing can be worse though than what we just put up with the xenomorphs. Hello.
Supreme Legate said Pakled versus Xenomorph.
They make us bleed.
Can you imagine a chest burster incident?
Why do you think they started stealing all that technology in the first place?
I'm Commander William Riker, the Starship Enterprise.
Actually,
No,
think
I
about
go
it.
from rags to riches. I'm Carmine Ragusa, the big ragu. How sad is it? I remember all these
8472
names.
versus Xenomorph.
Ooh,
Wow.
Borg versus Xenomorph.
Didn't we just have xenomorphed Borg?
That would be fun.
And now I'm not sleeping tonight.
Yeah, I was gonna say now I'm scared. No, as
Hirogen
far as
Hunters would be interesting.
what was
Yes.
Hirogen
Hirogen?
Hunters.
Oh, that
They
would
would-
be.
they'd
Who's
want
hunting
its-
who?
They would want its head on their deck, and of course, the xenomorphs would want, to
Didn't
procreate.
they have something that looked similar to... Now, Predator had it, obviously, but didn't Hirogen have something that looked similar as kind of like a little nod?
Yes, in Voyager.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what I would do as a crossover. Star Trek Babylon 5.
Okay, here's something. Predator versus from the Voyager episode Nemesis, the Nemesis.
Which was the Nemesis, Mike?
The Predator looking.
This is essentially
Oh, yeah.
Star Trek
It's
Predator.
basically, yeah, Star Trek's version of the Predator.
How about Predator versus Hirogen?
Oh my God, Grimagining Grimmy says, I'd go for a Ferengi xenomorph. Think of the prophet.
I'd like to see a single xenomorph on Deep Space Nine, and they're hunting it.
That's got all kinds of nooks and crannies. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Or even better, Terok Nor.
Oh, creepy.
Oh, with the Cardassian traps before they were all... Oh,
exactly.
Oh.
But I think a Star Trek Babylon 5 would be pretty cool.
Steve said Star Trek Stargate SG-1.
Star Trek Babylon
I'd
5
go
means
Atlantis.
Walter Koenig gets double billing.
Yeah, really. I don't know.
Am I the only one that? I guess I am the only one. I would want a Star Trek and Galactica 1980.
Okay, go sit in the corner. Go sit in the corner. We'll let you know when you can come out.
There was like all kinds of tech in that was Star Trek like, but it was Battlestar Galactica.
Star Trek and tabletop with Will Wheaton.
Star Trek and
Then he
Farscape.
would be the Traveler.
Yeah.
See, I don't see any of those really working.
You don't see Babylon 5 working?
No.
Star Trek and Farscape, I think, would work because
How?
Star Trek in Farscape, the Federation would be the considered the bad guys, and these guys would be like the Farscape crew would be the rogues that the Starfleet's chasing down.
Oh, Terry!
Still laughing at Grimmy's comment.
Yeah. Speaking of rogues, the 3 trailers we got, one of them was Rogue One,
Right.
which just fucking looks awesome. And I hate to say that because it's a Star Wars movie, but Episode
does look
7
awesome.
was really good, and Rogue One looks really good. We got for Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. As soon as I heard the Ooga Chaka, I
Oh,
was
is it?
like jumping in my seat. And I think it's going to be the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Oh, I haven't seen the preview for that yet.
He's not even in it. It's the bad guy, and it looks really pretty good. I've only seen the first Pirates of the Caribbean. Are the others worth watching?
Yeah, they're fun. I would say
Does it go downhill, or does it maintain a level of consistency?
I
It
think
goes
that
downhill. but not
I think
much.
that they think that a little bit they go downhill, but then they come
go
back.
a little more over the top each
Yeah.
time on
Oh,
the
get more-
supernatural
It
stuff.
gets more
campy.
crazy, yeah. But then they pulled back again on that fourth one,
That's
which
what
I
she
actually
said.
kind of liked. But I'm really looking forward to this next one. But continuing on with book
Star
news.
Trek Fury Road.
Star Trek gets Lex.
What was
Star
that?
Trek Roadhouse.
Star Trek and Lex.
Roadhouse. Patrick Swayze. Oh, Patrick Swayze's dead.
I know.
Sorry.
Oh, way to go, Janet.
I'm sorry.
Well, an article from we're going to move on. An article from StarTrek.com reveals that there are 4 Trek books in the Kindle November Deal program.
You sure there's not 3
Huh?
or 5?
There are 4
There are
lives.
4 books. 5 is right out.
Steve, don't make us mute you.
Amazon.com has revealed that a quartet of Star Trek novels have been selected for inclusion in their Kindle monthly deal program for November 2016. The novels, the original series,
The
The
Great
Entropy
Cox.
Effect by Vonda McIntyre, Enterprise Broken Bow by Diane Carey, TOS, The Eugenics War, Volume 1, The Rise and Fall of Khan Noonien Singh by Greg Cox, and the original series To Reign in Hell, The Exile of Khan Noonien Singh, also by Greg Cox, will be available for $1.99 each from 12 a.m. PST today, which was November 2nd, through November 30th. So if you want some really inexpensive, great books on
And
Amazon,
that
on Kindle,
Greg
heck, that's
Cox's
great.
Con series is so good. I think Dayton has said, he loves that series too. It's so good. Greg Cox really does an amazing job. And then the one To Reign in Hell. Okay, the first 2 of that trilogy are a story, and Gary Seven's in it, and it tells what was going on when Khan was rising to power. The third one is what happens when they're on Set the Alpha. So good.
Ooh.
Huh. Looking forward to that's cool.
Yeah, it's really great. Greg Cox is a good writer.
Yeah, he
really
is.
good writer.
The next on our list is Mike, do you want to take this one? Speaking of Greg
Sure.
Cox.
The Klingon Cookbook.
Actually, no, it's Locus bestsellers for October 2016.
Yes, in the media tie-in section, you'll find that the media and gaming, section, you'll find that Star Trek Legacies Captain to Captain by Greg Cox is in number 1 spot, and this is the second month in a row that it's been on the list. Last month it was in number 5, so congratulations to Greg Cox.
Yay! That's great news for the Legacy series too.
Yeah.
And that was the second book in the series, or the first?
First book.
It was the first book in the series. So that's great news. So yay! And congratulations to Greg.
Yep.
Du-du-du. And the Jackal's Trick. Yay! John Jackson Miller. We got to speak to him briefly. Not briefly. We got to speak to him for a whole freaking hour. And he joined us for Trivial Pursuit as well. John Jackson Miller, the author of Star Trek Prey, book 1, 2, and 3, all 3 books. It's a 3-book series. The Jackal's Trick, which is book 2, is already out now. So you can purchase it through your favorite bookseller wherever you want. And book 3 is coming out on the 28th, I believe.
Yeah, towards the end of this month.
Yeah. So you can purchase that is done. So I say we move on to unofficial productions.
I made something Star Trek. Unofficial productions.
God, I love Enterprise Blues Band. Just do. Where do we want to start off with unofficial productions? We have.
Well, I want to say something.
Okay.
I didn't realize it until this week, but there's a troll out there who slams us constantly. Janet, I'm not going to mention his name, but he went on about us being haters, and I wear it with honor.
Do we? I don't even pay attention. Seriously, if somebody's like that upset about, don't listen. If you don't like us, don't listen. Go suck it. There.
Suck it.
Suck it, man. Just suck it.
I guess we can start with Unbelievable.
Yeah, but
Might as well.
That's the new movie.
The Star Trek parody movie. It's got 40 former Star Trek alums in it. It's co-produced by Nichelle Nichols, and it features a puppet, Kirk.
Yeah, it's like a marionette,
like a Wayland Flowers and Madam.
No, more like Thunderbirds.
Well, more like
Team
Team America.
Thunderbirds or Team America.
Yeah. And
what's interesting is the puppet Kirk kind of looks like Vic Mignogna Kirk.
Oh my God.
Isn't he doing the voice for the puppet?
I don't know. Who is?
Vic Mignogna.
Is he?
I don't know. Now I'm going to look.
I have no idea. All I know is that Nichelle Nichols co-produced the film. Walter Koenig, Garrett Wang, Chase Masterson, Tim Russ, Marina Sirtis are all in it. It also stars Gilbert Gottfried, Gary Lockwood.
The movie follows the exploits of 4 astronauts, one of which is an animatronic marionette which resembles Captain Kirk from the 1960s TV show Star Trek, who traveled to the moon on a rescue mission to determine the fate of 2 NASA comrades who have not been heard from in several days. The individuals they find at the lunar base are not whom they appear to be, and through acts of trickery and deception, nearly succeeding in killing our heroes, before return to find that everyone on the planet has been transformed into a variant life form. Aliens from Mars have conquered Earth and now seek to destroy the last remnants of humanity. The astronauts fight back and soon discover how to rid themselves of the alien threat.
Star Trek Mars Attacks crossover.
Xenomorphs.
Yeah, Xenomorphs.
So the main
That's the answer to everything.
The main character is Kirk Stillwood, voiced by Kevin Carlson, a puppet created by Chiodo Brothers, who did the puppets for Team America World Police.
Oh God!
It looks pretty fucking ridiculous.
And it's supposed to be. It's
Yeah,
supposed to be.
Exactly. So the movie is called Unbelievable. And
With 5 exclamation marks. You got to get that right.
That's
right. So yeah, you can watch that now. It's kind of crazy.
No, it's awesome.
All
well,
right,
Janet, do you want to tackle it?
I'm gonna get into that or later. Do you want to continue with the regular unofficial or go into semantic?
Let's
talk about pain.
Yeah.
This is a video that someone created. They kind of remixed Spock, essentially just saying "pain"
From The Devil in the Dark.
And I have to admit, it was painful. It was painful, but still, it shows the creativity of some individuals. So here you go.
This was made back in, I think the date it was posted said 2012, 2013.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, people were sharing it new. So someone just discovered it.
Well,
I know I did.
That's the very nature of the internet.
Yes.
Do you want to move to
Yeah,
semantic?
let's do it.
All right.
Now on to the actual pain.
Steve, do you have the intro?
Uh-oh, you're in trouble. Semantic shenanigans.
So, a couple of things happened, and it's regarding Axanar. And first off, I have to apologize because there is a ton of documentation, and I have every intention of blogging about it for Semantic Shenanigans. And in fact, it's 3 blog posts, and there might even be a 4th. The problem is there's just so much of it, and there was a lot of stuff to do to wrap up 24 hours of GNT. So sit tight. Even if the case settles, I'm still going to blog about it because I think it's still of interest to the fandom community. Having said that, a couple of things happened. One of which was there had been plaintiffs had sought to get they sought to open up discovery a bit more, and keep in mind that a lot of things came to a head within the last week. There was a settlement conference on, I think it was Halloween, and then Discovery was supposed to close at the end of this week. I think it was 2 days ago. And please forgive me if I don't have the dates precisely right, but it was very recent. Be that as it may, plaintiffs sought, among other things, they wanted to redepose Mr. Peters because he had been deposed before and had not turned over emails. But Christian Gossett was also deposed, and he turned over thousands of pages of documents, which translated into hundreds of emails, lots of which were with Mr. Peters. Now, I caution people before they think, oh my God, he destroyed evidence and all this other stuff. Well, that's not necessarily the case. And even if emails were deleted deliberately, it's not necessarily because anybody, because there was any foul play at play here. Everybody deletes emails. We do it all the time because we're trying to clean up our inboxes. So it's not necessarily any kind of evil intent. So I don't want to attribute that to anyone.
I never delete emails.
My husband doesn't
except
either.
From Twitter, but that shit just piles up. But yeah, I don't delete emails. I have emails from you guys from
Are you
like
kidding? I delete
15 years ago.
Oh shit! See, I delete emails because my you only have so much storage space.
My emails go back to 1998.
Yeah, my husband has, a bunch of these, little storage sticks of emails.
Yeah,
that go back God knows how long.
I have Outlook, Microsoft Outlook, so everything gets downloaded to my computer, and then I just keep it all. I archive it, so if I ever need to find or track down something, I just have to search my email.
Yeah, I've got an Exchange server, so mine's also synced offline as well. And but saying that, I do have 119,500 unread emails still.
There you go.
You have 119,000 unread emails?
19 and a half, yeah.
Oh, 19,500?
No, 119,500. That's just mine, not work or anything else.
No wonder
I
Steve
read
never
all my
sleeps.
emails.
Beyond that, even if you're down to no emails at all, even if you crash your server and burn it, the thing is that stuff still exists in a lot of other places. And I'll tell you right now that if you're using Yahoo, Google, Gmail, you're using Hotmail, remember that, or if you're using anything on any domain that is publicly hosted, like from a company such as GoDaddy, those still exist no matter how hard you try to delete them. And the reason why is not because anybody has a real, like they've got the hots for your privacy. It's just that they have to retain this stuff because in the event that it is subpoenaed, GoDaddy and Gmail, etc., they're going to turn that stuff over. And they're going to do that.
But it doesn't sit on your own server.
hesitation.
So, I mean, it doesn't sit there. I mean, if we delete something from GoDaddy, it gets deleted. It's not like we can access it again.
Right, but
You have to go to this. You have to go to the source.
Yeah, but they're going to do their best to try to find this stuff and get it back and get it out if it's subpoenaed, because they, if they receive a court document that says you've got to produce this stuff, they're going to try to do it.
Right, but there's no way. And I think it needs to be clear here. At the end of the day, CBS isn't going to subpoena that stuff from whoever.
Right,
they're just not.
Yeah,
they already have it.
Exactly. They already have this stuff, so they're not going to go in that direction. But they had every right to, and I would have said this if this is the other side saying this, by the way, they had every right that once more newer documents had come to light, that they needed to redepose the recipient or sender of a lot of these emails in order to find out what the hell had happened. And the defense did agree to 2 hours, but plaintiffs wanted 5. The court said, you're right, you get 5 hours. The plaintiffs also wanted what's called a de-designation. What that means is that I don't know how many people had seen this, but just about a little less than a year ago, Axonar had put out what they called an annual report. And it looked kind of fancy, but the bottom line was that the numbers really didn't add up and they were rather vague. And this was intended to look transparent, and maybe they felt they were being transparent to show where the money was going. But it really wasn't that transparent because things were kind of grouped together weirdly and the numbers didn't add. Well, defense didn't hand this over. And in fact, plaintiffs handed it to them and said, oh yeah, we got a copy. Here you go. But what defense had was an accountant had gone through this, and defense wanted to keep a lot of this stuff as for attorney's eyes only, and plaintiffs said, "Nuh-uh, this is not attorney's eyes only. We want to get this out there." So the court kind of, the court also said that at least the summary should be able to come out. Further, they also wanted Peters to designate on the record that he had done all searching for all documents and that he certified that he had done a search for that. That's what the court said. You don't have to do that. Now, when courts rule on these things, if they don't give you 100% of what you asked for, they consider it denied with the following exceptions, and that's what they said. That's what the court said. That Judge Ike, he said the order is denied except for these 3 exceptions, which turned out to be most of what plaintiffs had requested. So for anybody who looked at that and said, oh wow, look at that, defense won, it was denied. Well, they only won a little small part of this. This is not everything that happened recently, however. 2 other things happened. Number 1, I think this was well-intentioned, but it turned out badly. The gentleman who runs Fan Film Factor, whose name is Jonathan Lane, he opened up a Kickstarter, and
the North Korean press.
Yes, he wanted to raise $45,000 to quote unquote help keep the lights on, end quote, for Axonar, and I mean the studio. Now, first off, nobody ever asked Mr. Peters to release his studio. And in fact, he had an appearance recently at Stanley's Kamikaze where Mr. Peters actually admitted, he said, you're right, this was a bad idea. I shouldn't have leased a studio. Beyond that, however, it's also, the guy raised a million, $1.5 million. So a number of people, they went in and they put comments on Kickstarter and said that there's $1.5 million. They should have enough money to pay for this. Don't you know that if you were buying a Star Trek film and it's turning out that that's not happening, don't you feel that that's wrong? Well, only one person donated to this, and it was Dennis Russell Bailey, actually. And he donated $5, which is apparently the minimum that you can donate to Kickstarter. And
But he did it so his comments wouldn't be deleted.
Yeah, he did it exactly so that his comment wouldn't be deleted. And basically, what he said was exactly what was said to Joseph McCarthy, which was, "At long last, sir, have you no decency? Sir, have you no decency?" I know that the Kickstarter campaign was reported to Kickstarter.
It wasn't Kickstarter; it was GoFundMe.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much. I'm getting that wrong, and my apologies. And you're right, son. It was GoFundMe. I know that it was reported to GoFundMe, so that's one. But also, Mr. Lane talked to Mr. Peters, who said take it down. So whatever happened first, it kind of doesn't matter. Whether it was GoFundMe that said this is gone, or it was Peters who said take it down, or whether Lane decided on his own, I'm going to get rid of it. Whatever it was, the campaign isn't there anymore. So if you click, we only can see it through Axomonitor because of screenshots. The other thing that happened, there's a lot of stuff going on. The other thing that happened is that there were settlement talks. There was a settlement discussion in person. I believe it was on Halloween. As far as I'm aware, everybody came dressed as lawyers.
Oh.
And you wear a tie. Everybody
I'm sorry. Nobody's going to risk sanctions by showing up in costume.
Exactly. Nobody comes as as Harley Quinn or anything like that. Although that would be really interesting. Anyway, and they also had there was a court mandated conference call about settlement on the 4th of November. So that was 2 days ago. Now, after the one on Halloween, Mr. Peters told his followers, he said that settlement was close, but that they should manage their expectations. After the one on the 4th, he said settlement was far away, and that it was his position that he wouldn't settle until he was able to create oh my God, in the chat room.
To create an Axonar that would satisfy his fans.
Thank you. Yes, that was it. That Peters felt that was non-negotiable, that he would not agree to a settlement unless it was permitted for him to create Axonar to satisfy what his fans want. Now, I also want to point this out to folks because I know that people have said that if CBS and Paramount settle, oh my God, they've lost. I hate to break this to you folks. Number one, over 95% of all cases settle. This doesn't mean anybody loses at all. It actually just means that people are seeing the writing on the wall. They're seeing the reality of taking a case to trial because trials are expensive. They are time-consuming. They are soul-killing, and and juries can be rather unpredictable. So, because trials are such a crapshoot, most of the time people pay the money and they walk away. It doesn't mean that they feel that they were wrong or right. It means that they came to a compromise. We all know what the definition of a compromise is. It's when both parties leave the table pissed off. That's a good compromise.
I agreed.
So, a settlement, is it in the cards? Probably, simply because settlements are very common. However, if Mr. Peters continues to dig his heels in, and if he feels that that is the thing that's non-negotiable, and he's never going to give that up, then I hate to break this to you folks, we are going to go to trial. Or actually, what will happen before that is going to be motions for summary judgment. I fully expect to start seeing them during this month.
They have to be filed. God, you know what? They have to be filed like now. Because if trial is in January, they have to be filed within 45 days before trial. At least. It might even be 60.
Yeah, it's coming up very, very quickly. All of those dates are coming up really fast. So I'm going to get even more behind in blogging, so I apologize again. But hopefully...
Oh, thank you, OS Writer. I was going to say, I think it's like 60 days beforehand because you have to give enough time for the replies and the oppositions and the ruling.
Exactly, and if they want to have oral argument, they have to do that too. So yeah,
Wouldn't it be nice if they could just go in and the prosecutor could just go over and turn off Alex with a little switch in the back of his neck?
Okay, I want to get down
Alec.
to. I kind of
Sorry,
want.
I didn't mean to mispronounce his name.
I
really didn't.
I know.
I know. To me, that's a pet peeve.
It is Alec.
Yeah.
I kind of want to get to what the crux of this problem is, though, and kind of pull back from the procedural aspect of it and talk about why maybe the settlement process broke down, and put into consideration why Lane opened up the GoFundMe. And it's something that we touched on during the 24-hour show. At the end of the day, Alec has no money left. He spent it all. Isn't that the impression that everybody gets from this?
Oh, he said that they have no money.
So he's already said that they have no money. And yet part of the settlement that he's pressing is that he wants to be able to make Axanar, and an Axanar that his fans will be proud of, which means he would need more money. So I'm thinking what the problem here is that he wants permission to go out and ask for more money, and CBS is like, fuck no.
I think that's exactly what it is, because if he's this broke, and he seems to be, and I've been seeing this from a lot of channels, and not just from people who are disgruntled.
You mean haters?
Thank you. But if that is the case, and it seems to be, it certainly seems to be, then yeah, he's going to want to try to go to the crowdfunding well again. And CBS is probably saying, yeah, I don't think so, son. But beyond that, let's say he does. Let's say he's able to. Let's say he wins everything. Oh my God, it's a revolution in copyright law, and he's able to do that. Even if this had never happened, crowdfunding is the land of diminishing returns. And even the Axanar Productions has already seen that, because they did better when they first were on GoFundMe and Kickstarter, and then it was less and less and less. And then when we came down to what Mr. Lane attempted, and it was $5. Now he has claimed also that he wasn't really promoting it. However, why the heck did the people who were commenting on it, how the hell did they know about it if it hadn't been put somewhere? It was possible to find it, certainly. You don't put up a crowdfunding and then just say, well, I just hope the good Lord figures out that I want money. No, you tell your friends and your family here, because how else are they going to find it?
I'm just
silly. It's just silly. But that's also the spin against, well, this is why we only raised $5, sorry, because, we didn't really publicize it. Why would you open it up if you hadn't publicized it, or if you had no plans to publicize it? There's no time.
And in actuality, hurt this guy that you're supporting, because the optics of that are horrific.
Yes, exactly. You don't want your donors, even your wonderful, loyal, God bless them, donors who are saying, yeah, I want to open my wallet again. If they're looking at this and they see that it's 5 days old and there's no cash in it, they're going to scratch their heads and say, this seems kind of odd. There's no time frame on this. There was no time limit on it. So instead of opening it up on, say, a Monday, and forgive me, I don't recall the exact date, but let's say you open it on the 1st, and then it ended up getting closed on the 4th because there was no funds. Well, but you had no plan to start promoting it until the 4th. Well, why the hell would you open it on the 1st if you weren't going to start promoting it until the 4th? Why would you waste those 3 days? Why wouldn't you start it on the 4th and start promoting it on the exact same day? There's a freshness to these things. There's an expiration date to them, simply because people look at crowdfunding. It's a lot like when you're driving by an unfamiliar restaurant and there are no cars in the parking lot and it's supposed to be open. You always look at that and say, the food must be horrible or too expensive or both. And that's
going
exactly
by a truck stop and there's no truckers in it.
Yes, exactly. That means that there's something wrong here. We always draw this conclusion. And what people in the restaurant business know is they always tell the people who work there, park your car in the parking lot. They always tell their friends, hey, you can park in this parking lot. If they're in a mall and there's somebody nearby and they're trying to drum up business, they'll tell the nail salon that's nearby, hey, have the girls park in the parking lot. Because they do this because they know that people are going to be attracted to it. And when you're running a crowdfunding and you want to, you got to start this kitty with something. There's nothing wrong with saying to your mom or your cousin or your sister or your greengrocer and saying, hey, could you put in $5 for my crowdfunding here? I'll pay you back later. I just need to get this thing started, make it look good. Is it 100% ethical, kosher, wonderful, perfect, beautiful? Probably not. Do you think it never happens? I got a bridge to sell you if you think that never happens, folks.
Well, and I don't know if it was on lawyer's advice or if it was his own judgment, but I do give AP credit for saying, no, take that down. Are you nuts?
Agreed. And it's whether it was because
that may be the smartest thing I've heard from him this entire saga.
It was a prudent move, absolutely, because first off, how it looks to the donors, how it looks to opposing counsel, how it looks to a court, how it looks potentially to a jury, and also the fact that they weren't getting anything out of it anyway.
And
it was useless.
The red was. The way that the GoFundMe read was almost like, won't you give $5 to these children in Africa? We just needed Sally Struthers.
Yeah, pretty much. There was absolutely a feeling of, let's help keep those lights on. Let's help keep those lights on. If this is where the man lived.
What part of making a fan, capital letters FAN film, what part of that? How has every other fan film managed without building a studio to rent out to other fan? And here's a question. So we've got this studio that in the mission statement was said that would be used to rent out to other fan films or anyone making a film. Why is no one using it?
I suspect there's a couple of reasons. Number one,
I think probably it's not up code yet.
Yeah, exactly. That's my number one belief is it's probably not up to code. If you're not up to engineering code, nobody's going to touch it. Why? Because there could be a fire or somebody could have, something could fall on somebody. They want to look out for their.
Well, not the least of which is there are half-built props in there. Nobody else can use the entire studio because there's half-built shit in there.
Yeah, and the studio is partly taken up by that, and it's also taken up by prop works and whatever's being stored there. So
don't forget it's taken up by carpets.
Yes, thank you.
That's right.
So the studio is not really usable. That's one thing. Another one is that they're really kind of outside of the zone, and there's, according to people who do live and work in the area and actually do rent studio space, folks like Judy Wheeler. There's plenty of competition that's a lot closer to where the talent lives, and those folks, if they can do it near their houses, they're going to do it. And I would say it wouldn't surprise me, although I don't know this for a fact, but it wouldn't surprise me if the rates that they are attempting to charge might be outside the realm of what people are willing to pay, because they also have to take into consideration that folks have to commute to this. You need to offer a damn fine deal if you're going to make people commute.
Well, if I was a producer too, I wouldn't be using a studio that I know is where the ownership is in active litigation with a.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say, is there a certain toxicity right now?
Yeah, I mean, why would I want to be halfway through my production just to find out that the studio gets closed down because of something that happened in the lawsuit or because of lack of money or something, Then
or the leaseholder says, okay, enough, because the lease, this is a rented space. This isn't something he owns. This is a leased space, which he no longer has money to pay for the lease, which means if you are trying to draw people to do business there and there's no foundation for the continued existence of that space, you could, why would you expose your own professional studio to that potential downfall? Go ahead, son.
I just want to there seems like something people are neglecting, or maybe this was something that was intentionally done and is stupid, and then we all see through it, and they're just acting like we see through it. So, but Terry, Jesfa, I thought they, handed over the lease to private investors.
Well, I think that this most recent fundraising, what this is telling me, and also because Mr. Peters had attempted to compensate Terry McIntosh for his creation of Aries Digital by offering him quote-unquote shares in the investment group, which I've been calling the consortium. What that's telling me is that, number one, Mr. Peters is part of that consortium, and he may be the only part of it, but we don't know that. And number two, that also means that he thinks it's a for-profit enterprise.
Ding.
So yeah. For anybody who
we know it's a for-profit enterprise. They're a Type S corporation,
right? And for anybody who's still beating the nonprofit drum, okay. Once again, for the cheap seats, folks. Just because
I saw that.
Yeah, just because you don't make a profit, just because you're a poor enough businessman that you're incapable of making a profit, or because assets are frozen or any other reason, does not magically, mystically turn you into a nonprofit. Nonprofits are extraordinarily heavily regulated here in the United States, and there's a damn fine reason for that. The reason is so that people like my elderly parents don't get sucked in and offer their paychecks, or rather, they don't have paychecks anymore, their Social Security checks, to scam artists. So the United States government has a very, very strong interest in protecting the public. Not just from scammers, but just from anybody. If you want to make a nonprofit organization, you need to apply for nonprofit status. It's called 501c3.
And saying you've applied for it doesn't mean you have.
Right, because there is a very good record made of people who have applied for it. Anybody on Google can look it up. So if there is no application, it means you are not in the process. Just because you've got a copy of the application and it's on your desk and it's holding up the short end of the coffee table, or it's underneath your action figures, or you're using it as a coaster, means absolutely nothing. Technically, are you in the process? Yeah, you printed it out. That's nice. You know what that means? I'm in the process of it too, because I know what they look like.
Well,
that's meaningless until you file it, folks.
Okay,
and then
so
you're still not a nonprofit until you're accepted.
All right. So we know that they're not a 501c3. That's been very clear. And whether or not they're in the process of it or filed an application is kind of moot. The fact of the matter is they are a Type S corporation in California, which means that they set themselves up as a for-profit corporation in California.
Absolutely.
And two, the fact of the matter is losses for said corporation can be deducted on taxes.
Right. So,
which means it's a for-profit corporation, and even if it didn't make a profit, those losses can be deducted. So, I would love to see those IRS returns.
Yeah, I've been a business owner, and I've been a failing business owner for that matter. And yes, when you lose money, it's deductible. It's a very nice thing that the government does for us, because the government
they want to keep small businesses going.
Right. They want to encourage people to try. And they know that most small businesses fail, so they give you a little bit of candy at the end of it and say, okay, you can take this off your taxes. We're not going to ding you for this part, which is great, which is lovely, and I fully support that. But going beyond that, this is a for-profit venture. It is intended as a for-profit venture, and the studio is also intended as a for-profit venture. The studio was actually intended as a long-term for-profit venture. They wanted not only to have Axanar and make a movie, but they also wanted to create a company on top of it. What they wanted was to have a studio, rent it out to other productions, and and not just to Trek fan productions, and have the money continue to roll in.
And so they would make their money from the alleged lease of that property to other individuals, which would supposedly fund what? And it was either going to be a continued creation of Star Trek IP infringing materials, or to line their own pockets. We just don't know which or both. The fact of the matter is now there is no longer any money. That we pretty much know. That's $1.5 million that was meant to and donated by Star Trek fans to produce a Star Trek film which was never made. And I'm kind of aghast by the idea that he has refused to participate in a settlement that would extract him from this lawsuit because he now feels now all of a sudden he feels that he owes his donors a duty to create a film.
How was that sushi? How was that sushi?
And it's not even just the sushi. It was the misplacement of his priorities. His priorities were, and if people don't, and if donors, and it's the same thing I'm going to talk about like I did last week. It's this misplacement of priorities. Instead of actually taking the duty and understanding that he owed these, fuck you. You know what I talk about when I mean it. There is a very specific definition of duty, and I take that very seriously, and I wish more people would. There's only a few people on this planet who really understand what it means when they undertake a duty. It's military, it's paramilitary, anybody who's taken an oath or made a promise. And that's what that is he's made a promise. He made a promise to people that he would make a film with the money that he kept. He even admits to the mission creep. He even admits to the creep. And he doesn't even comprehend that you don't get to say, oh, okay, well, now I get it. By the way, I'm going to creep some more because now I need more money to fulfill the promise I already made and fulfilled to make. I'm sorry. You don't get any more second chances, Mr. Peters. You just don't. You don't. And I will speak against. You don't get any second chances. You don't get to go out and ask for another $1 million.
Well, and it's troubling because we're talking about $1.5 million, and there's like about 26 minutes or so total of film, and I mean that's everything.
Well, that was, I mean, let's face it, he made 20 some odd minutes of film with $80-something thousand. That's what he made Prelude for, right?
Yes. So what's the rest of it?
Where
is it? And look, you love him, fine. You only gave $5, $10, or whatever. You don't think it's worthwhile to really get too upset about it. Hey, I'm not gonna tell you how to think. But I do urge donors to at least understand the truth, know the truth. Don't just get it spoon fed to you from me either. By the way, I urge people to engage in critical thinking, as I do in not just this, but in any other enterprise in your life. You should always be wondering, and particularly when people want you to open up your wallets, you should be wondering, where the hell is it going? I mean, this is one of the reasons why the United States is so regulatory when it comes to nonprofits, because they, that's why Charity Navigator exists, is to show people where their money is going. Is it going to feather bedding somebody's nest, or is it actually going to, help the poor or whatever? So the same thing here. When the annual report, quote unquote, was given away last year, it was given to donors. It was what I like to call transparency theater. It was made to appear like they were transparent. They said they were transparent. Hey, look at this. Nobody else gives you this. Look how awesome and transparent we are. But the bottom line was, like I said, the categories were vague and the numbers didn't add up. So it wasn't transparent. It was something that was sort of made to paper over and make it look transparent, and it turned out not to be. Now, Mike is reminding me, and he's absolutely right. There's a GoFundMe going on for Starbase Studios because they want to move.
They have two fundraisers going on right now. One of them is actually for a TNG based episode, and they have produced other episodes, and that one I'm not having a problem with. So if you want to support that one, the link will be in the show notes. But the other one I want us to discuss it, if possible, which is they are trying to move their studio to a new location, and this GoFundMe was set up to help them cover the moving costs. Discuss.
Yeah, it kind of, I think that it's a very poor idea given the current atmosphere. And, if they want to move and I realize this stuff is not free and And I also realize that maybe they are being kicked out, or maybe they need a bigger location. I mean, I'm sure that the reason for moving is a legitimate one, but to do crowdfunding for that, I think I think you're pushing that envelope there, and I think you're poking that bear.
Well, is Starbase Studios not the studio that was like flooded at one point in Oklahoma?
I do not know. Mike, do you know?
I am not sure. I do believe it is somewhere in the south Midwest, but I'm not specifically sure where they're located.
Because if it was, I could see them wanting to move the studio into a place that might be a little bit higher in elevation.
Certainly, but should they be asking fans for money to do that? I mean, that's kind of, you know, the question. That's kind of the that is part of the brouhaha that erupted around Axanar, and this does not seem that far from almost that same situation.
I actually, I'm not sure if this is in compliance with the guidelines, with the fan film guidelines, or if it kind of cleverly skirts it, because it's not a fundraiser for fan films per se. So maybe the thinking is that the guidelines don't apply at all. However, of course, why are they moving to this studio? Why are we talking studio at all? Of course, it's for a fan film. So if that's the case, then I mean, how much money are they looking for anyway?
Well, they were about to ask for
$1 million.
I was going to say they were about to go out with right before the lawsuit was filed. They were on the verge of starting another fan, or I should say, crowdsourcing campaign for another $1 million.
That was
Axanar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we're talking about?
No, we were on to Starbase Studios.
Starbase Studios. Oh God.
Yeah, Starbase Studios is they're looking for $3,500. Okay, so it's not an enormous amount of money, and the guidelines say $50,000 per crowdfunding, but that's for creating a fan film. So technically, this is at least the number is within the guidelines. But I'm sure that when CBS and Paramount's lawyers put together the guidelines, they didn't quite think of this particular.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, I have to say, when I saw that link that Mike put in our show notes for this week, I kind of went, you know, you put your head against the wall, and I'm going to say something that will be very unpopular right now, but God damn it. You know what started this whole downhill thing, and I'm going to piss off a lot of people here, and
Renegades?
I do. God damn it. It was partially Renegades, partially Continues, anybody who started to pay people to participate. And we talked about it on the show at that time, and we raised the concern that might be what starts the ball rolling downhill. And I just want to cry sometimes, going, you know what, that we talked about it in conjunction with fan fiction, which was fanfic writers know damn well you never do anything on a professional level, and nobody else should make any kind of money off of what you do. In other words, don't pay somebody to professionally print your product, because what you have, you do not own. And nobody else, including a professional printer, shouldn't make money off of that, because it changes the complexity. It changes the tone of what it is that you're doing. You're no longer providing fan fiction for free. Somebody, it may not have been you who was writing the material, but somebody else who didn't write the material made money off of an IP they didn't own. Don't cross that line. And then people started paying actors and professional actors at scale to participate in an unofficial production. And we all kind of went, this isn't good. And God damn it, 2 years later, look at where we're at, arguing about and getting fan film guidelines, when, God damn it, you know, everybody's shit in the pool, and we keep trying to fucking clean it, and it keeps getting worse.
I had Taco Bell
I tell ya, Doritos Locos Tacos, man, they're just fucked up.
I mean, seriously, we brought this,
Years
the
ago.
collective we brought this on ourselves. It's there were a lot of actors here, and it's not just Axonart, and it's not just Mr. Peters.
It isn't.
There's been a lot of finger pointing, but the bottom line is some of that finger pointing doesn't go in that direction. This got out of hand.
It did. Well, here's the thing. While Continues and Renegades caught the hint when they got the side eye, there was no C&Ds, right? We know that there weren't any cease and desist from CBS, but CBS was definitely giving some side eye to a lot of people. Those people caught a clue and straightened up their act. Renegades finished out their project, even though they didn't have the funding that they wanted to create. They ended up getting some, and let's face it, Renegades took a lot of shit. Renegades took a lot of shit because it ended up being not quite as the finished product everybody wanted it to be, but they fucking finished it with the money that they already had. And yeah, the makeup wasn't perfect, and the special effects weren't perfect, and everything wasn't perfect. But you know what? Fan film aren't supposed to be perfect. Professional products are. It was the fact that Peters and his clan took that advantage of, oh, well, look, everybody else is doing this. Let's take it one step further, because they didn't think, and they didn't see the side. And God damn it, they had a full bore personal meeting and still didn't catch a clue. And I will always blame them for not getting it. So while Continues to realize they were stepping on some shit, Renegades realized they were stepping on some shit, and they made some changes. Axonar didn't catch the clue. They didn't catch the clue. And I'm angry about that. I'm bitter about that, because what we ended up getting was exactly what we feared we were going to get 2 years ago when people started paying people to be in their fan films. And it's just, to me, that was like, wait a minute. It doesn't matter who makes money off of it. It doesn't. A for-profit venture is a for-profit venture for somebody. And that's what I had an issue with, and I still do. And so, yes, everybody at Continues, you may be very disappointed in me by saying, you know what, that was bullshit. Renegades, you might be pissed off at me going, Terry, come on. And you know what? That was bullshit. But Axonar, you take the cake. You take the cake. You took everything that was already starting to go wrong, and you decided to bury everything. So fuck you. I'm kind of done with Axonar now. I really don't care. No, I do. I care hopelessly a lot about what happens. I do. I care.
You're
I care a lot.
exhausted from caring so much.
I am. I'm exhausted from caring so much, because this was a realm that we all got to play in, and now we're dealing with a different world. And it was dealt. It all came from greed. It all came from self-importance. It all came from this idea that if you made a really amazing fan film, that maybe you might get a quote unquote real job. Seriously, right? We all know that's what it was. It's like somehow Alec might get a job with CBS, and he might be able to work in Star Trek, in the real Star Trek. That if he made it good enough, this is what he might be able to do. It really, it was, you want to be known for making that they'd be the next Brian Fuller. That's what that was about. You know, the fact of the matter is, dude, you blew it. Get over it. Just give it up, declare your bankruptcy, walk away, and maybe you'll have a group of fans who are willing to support you in a different venture. Okay?
Terry, I'm sorry, but that last whole thing that made me laugh, because that makes me turn around and think, did J.J. Abrams just make a Star Trek film so he could get hired by Disney to make Star Wars?
Well, we all know that. We've already discussed that JJ's, that 2009 was his Star Wars audition. But, he's got his own issues. But that's not what this is about. No, this was Alec's idea of creating a studio so he could continue to create in what he wanted, which was, Star Trek. And he had the misplaced idea that somehow it would be that CBS would be beholden to him for this, that somehow he was doing them a favor not realizing what he was doing was actually screwing their shareholders and placing them in a position of having to bring down the hammer.
Well, I think that there was also a feeling that this is going to be a calling card. There was a hope to leapfrog over the long list of people who want to not just make Star Trek, but also be in sort of the inner circle of Hollywood to begin with. And something, that line to get into Hollywood, it's very long and it's very difficult. And I'm sure that most of the people who are on that line would love to cut to the front of it. But something, for the people who do get to the front of it, it's because they did it through hard work and talent and perseverance. And yes, they may have done it through connections as well. Yeah. I won't dispute that. There's a lot of people who work who aren't that good, but there's a lot of people who work who are good, and they work very hard, and they're going to be very angry if they see somebody trying to cut that line because of all of the auditions that they had to go through, all the cattle calls, all the being turned down, all the being told, you're not thin enough, you're not tall enough, you're not young enough, you're not blonde enough. They're tired of it too, and they're going to look at somebody who tried to get ahead of that, and they're going to give them the biggest fuck you can imagine.
Well, there's another side too. This, it's funny how if you look back, and boy, just remember, the internet is always there. Just a few years ago, it was they, meaning the powers that be, are not making a Star Trek for the fans. It's only for themselves. I am going to make what the fans want. I am the arbiter of what it is. And then somehow when we needed something, that JJ and Lynn are just the greatest. They have Star Trek. They understand it. Blah, 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 blah. And just, so pathetic.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I actually am really sad that they didn't settle. I really am. I was very disappointed to find out that round 2 didn't bring anything into fruition, and not the least of which is now it sounds like the heels are being dug in, and it's frustrating. It is. It's frustrating because I really did want this. I wanted it to be resolved. I wanted the whole thing to kind of go away, and that the fact of the matter is that what Alec Peters wants, which is this idea that he can go out, get more money to fulfill the promise he should have made at the beginning of this adventure, it's just not going to happen. CBS isn't going to agree to him going out and asking for more money when he blew it. It's just not going to happen. And I want him to come to that realization, but
he didn't
I just roll my eyes because I know, like, he didn't catch the clue the first time. Why should I expect him to catch the clue this time? I mean, I know they can still, yes, so many for us, you're right. You can still settle it out. Absolutely. There is, but the fact of the matter is that usually when you're doing an MSE, which I believe that this was it a mandatory settlement conference, Janet?
I think so, yes.
Okay. That means that you're doing this in court with the settlement judge. You've got somebody who sits on the bench who's mediating this case. It's not an outside mediator. It's a freaking trier of fact. May not necessarily be your trial judge. It's going to be a magistrate. It was probably Judge Ike.
Yes, it was. It was Charles Ike.
That they're going to be pretty honest with both sides as to how things will be and might be perceived by the trial judge. And so their job is to bring you the bad news. They go from room to room and they tell you what the bad news is going to be. And that is, CBS, this is what you're facing. Alec Peters and Axanar Productions, this is what you're facing. And be aware that that's usually the truth, which is why things tend to settle. But there had to be something. And my fear, my absolute fear, is that what they're hung up on is Alec is now put in. Here's a question I have for you, Janet, and I'm just beginning to come to that realization. Do you think that maybe he knows that he needs to go get more money and that he has made this promise to his donors and now he's trying to prevent a class action?
I think that's exactly what it is. And I think that I think Mr. Lane's heart was in the right place. I think this ended up being a poor idea, but I think his effort was that he felt that he was just going to help out someone who he considers to be a friend. But I think that the statement by Mr. Peters after the settlement talks apparently broke down was something that was really not dedicated to helping anybody out except for the defendant to try to keep the donors from mounting a class action, and certainly can still do so. I mean, you're still hearing vague promises, folks. Once again, hate me, love him, all you like. Hey, knock yourself out, do it if you want to. But you're still hearing, you're still getting, a stable full of shit, and you're still piling through it and saying, there's a pony in here, there's a pony, there's a pony. And you're being told, yeah, there's a pony, just keep looking, there's a pony, there's a pony.
And it's made of diamonds.
You have no fucking pony. It's not there. It's not going to be made. You want to know why it's not going to be made? Because number one, they're not going to allow it. But beyond that, and number two, he's not going to win at trial, and he's probably not going to win at appeal. And even if he does, it's going to cost him an enormous amount of money, because I'm sure that his lawyers are going to ditch him when it comes to the appeal stage, or their pro bono agreement is going to change. But even if their pro bono agreement doesn't change, he's still on the hook for fees. And he's still got to pay rent on this studio. He admits he has to pay rent on the studio, and he can't afford it. So he's going to have to go to the crowdfunding well yet again. And nobody wanted to pay this last time. It's not going to be made. It's not going to happen.
I can't think. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, after all of this, I think he's lost a lot of credibility with potential donors. Anyone that has donated before are going to be very wary to donate again, even if he does win and everything goes his way from this point forward, and he gets to create the film. I don't think he's going to end up with hardly anything, because people are not going to trust him, because he's already raised 1.5 and he has produced very little to nothing. I don't think I even worst case or best case scenario, even if he does win all this, I don't think he's ever going to get. No one's going to donate enough money for him to create anything.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not.
I got to tell you,
folks.
I think you'd be surprised at the stupidity of people.
But they've already donated. They've already donated several dollars. At some point, that well runs dry. Even if people want to donate, they may not have the cash anyway.
So here's the thing. His only other option is private, right? You find private investors, quote unquote, private people. So
but hasn't he already done that with the studio? But obviously that well's drying up if you're still pumping money into it.
Is it? We don't know. We don't know what these people have. We don't know how rich they are. Maybe he's found some wealthy friends who are willing to support that.
Then he's moving off to Dubai.
That'd be nice.
Look, if he has wealthy friends and they're willing to bankroll him, then I'm sorry that they want to enable him. But hey, it's their money, and
it's exactly right.
That's that. But then why are you holding your hand out, and why are you saying that you're out of money?
But private investors would be a lot different than going to the crowdfunding source, and I think that the crowdfunding source is that well is dried up.
I wouldn't disagree with that, but but to be honest with you, under the guidelines, let's be fair. Under the guidelines, there is no limit to private investor to privately funded.
That is true.
Fan film, right?
That is true.
Not that I can find in the guidelines, and just like any other document,
that's his only option.
An ambiguity is going to be directed as against the drafter. So yeah, that's his only.
That's his only option right now. It really is.
So if you've ever watched The Producers, you know where this is going.
So just be aware
that. Well,
but doesn't this also kind of make him a pariah in Hollywood too? Because he has literally at this point tried to build a for-profit studio off the back of Star Trek, CBS, and Paramount's big IPs. Okay, why would the people who framed Roger Rabbit then want to work with this guy ever in any sort of official capacity?
Well, and that's also the same thing with anybody else who's done who's worked hard to get where they are. they're going to be looking at this and saying this is not right. This was done on the backs of other people's IP. Even if they don't care about IP, even if they think that IP is bullshit, they're going to look at this and say this is somebody trying to cut the line. And that's also, by the way, going to be a lot of the people who make up the jury if this goes that far. Because why? CBS and Paramount are two big employers, but there are other large studio employers in this area. They're or people who are attempting to be working for them. All of those waitresses trying to sing.
To Sun's question, though, I look at people like, and I can't think of the name of the studio, and frankly, I'm too lazy to Google it, that made Paranormal Activity. They make all their movies for under, I think it was $5 million, Terry, we talked about it. And they had all these huge hits. Now, they did have a setback this year, but they created their own studio, but did it legally with their own original stuff.
Oh, that crowdfunded studio.
No, he's referring to something else, Terry.
Right.
The guy was like he worked for somebody else, and then he saw these scripts and he saw that he could make them for pretty much on the cheap. And I don't mean that as a negative. Yeah, for low, like Paranormal Activity didn't cost that much to make.
I know who you're talking about. You're right.
And because they used unknown actors. See, and there's the other thing. When you get into the realm of, I want Richard Hatch, I want Kate
Vernon is her
Kate
last name.
Vernon.
Oh, but hey, what about Nichelle Nichols or Walter Koenig or anybody else?
Right, but when you get into that, I don't, as a fan, but also as a consumer, that is no longer a fan film. Just from that point alone, even if nobody got paid, to me, that is professional actors doing that. To me, a fan film is New Voyages, Crawley. You know what I mean? It's Farragut. I mean,
I don't do. You know me. I don't do that again.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. Although New Voyages did actually jump into,
but not in the beginning.
But not in the beginning, and that's why we loved them so much. Was that especially Colley's vision with regard to creating a fan film, regardless of the acting ability of the people who were involved, it matters not. It was the heart from which it came. It was this passionate, let's try to make the very best story that we can in an unprofessional way, and I mean that with heart. I mean that with a tip of the hat to say, you know what? That's what made fan films so much fun, was that these weren't the professionals. These weren't people who were going out and making the highest quality. They were trying to just tell good stories from their own heart. And that's what I loved about New Voyages and Farragut and
think
others.
about it. Cawley, it's amazing that he was able to do that while at the same time, being an occultist, a ceremonial magician, a poet, a painter, a novelist. Oh, wait a minute. That was Aleister Crowley. Never mind.
Silly.
I'm sorry.
But he did and does have a regular day job, and that's the other thing too.
Very much, yeah.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
But we're going to make fun of that day job because that's what we do.
And that's the other thing I take offense to when Peters opens up his fat trap. Like, somehow you're not a legitimate person unless you're a successful Hollywood producer. You know what, Peters, go fuck yourself on the horse you rode in on. Be that as it may, but if that's what you judge other people on is to their validity of humanity, then you've got a serious fucking problem. It doesn't matter whether or not you were a successful Hollywood producer to make a fan film. As a matter of fact, it's everything but.
You know what? Our Jesfa is way more successful than you, then, Mr. P. She's a published author.
And
she's a real lawyer.
I don't give it. Yeah, I love
snap.
You walk, but
And
yes,
she's
Mike.
Jewish, so
Mike?
I just wanted to. Nick said that Jespa is a published author. I was just going to mention.
You are too.
I signed my first autograph this week.
Oh, Christ. Mike's cutting promos on himself now.
It was.
This means
I thought it was
Mike
actually
is
a big
more
deal.
successful than Alec Peters now.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you too. I really am. It's so wonderful. I'm just like, oh my god.
So by having photos on the covers of actual magazines, does that make me more successful? Photos that I took?
I don't understand his
I don't know what the
that
logic
it was just a bullshit thing for him to say anyway. It was just he's one of those people that in order to build himself up, he has to tear other people down.
I was going to say he was looking down.
Yeah, he's looking down on everybody.
Profession, but
he was looking down on everybody who
the guy is making a living. So, but then again, $38,000 a year.
Yeah. Believe it or not, you guys, I don't want to end up talking about Axonar for the whole show, but we have a few.
I want to hear
Mike
cut more promos on himself.
Yeah, I've also got a knock on the door. Hang on.
Oh.
It's Mike's fans.
Yay!
All two of them.
Oh
no!
They're really loud, though. We love them.
Mike, I'm just gonna go off script here for a minute because we have a script.
Because we have a script. Yeah,
there's a script. Who told?
This would be the greatest script show ever if we actually had a script that what we do every week is scripted. We would be the greatest actors in history. Mike, do you need me to fly out there and kick somebody's ass after what happened this week? Because I'll do it.
I'll
do it.
That kind of also upset me this week.
The Romulan in me just didn't like that.
I appreciate that.
So if you let me know, because if not, I'll call and throw harsh language.
Ferengi and me wanted Mike to create a terms of service.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I should mention it, but essentially what happened was I repair computers for a living. I'm disabled, but that's what I do to supplement my income. It's all legit. It's all legal. So what I had set up an appointment with a customer. I had gone out there, called her up on the phone like 2 minutes before the appointment to make sure I was at the right place and that I had correct directions to her house. She met me outside. I pull up, no problem. Exchange a few words. Everything's cool. I get out of my truck, and she looks at me up and down, waves her hands in front of me, and says, "I don't think I can help. You can help me. I don't. Looking at you, I don't think I can trust you."
Well, Mike, I will say this: Klingons have a reputation. I'm just saying.
Oh, you didn't need her business anyway. Who would want to deal with that bitch? I'm sorry. I am so sorry that she did that to you. I really am. I think that sucks.
Want I should call her
to high heaven.
It's cool. It's
well, Mike. When we see you, this is what we think.
Jesus Christ.
Oh boy.
Why is Steve? Oh God.
Oh boy.
So we see him as Q now? Don't forget the little dollar cha-ching.
I know, it's not the same without the cha-ching.
I'm waiting for the cash register sound.
It's not the same without it.
It's so funny. Oh, Mike, that's fucked up.
Yeah, it upset me, but after talking to, I had posted I vague boked kind of sort of about it. And well, not really, but I'd kind of explained the situation on Facebook, and just all my friends who had come up and supported me on it. That was totally awesome, and it was good to actually see a lot of my customers that do follow me on Facebook to actually chime in and and support me that way as well. So that helped a lot. But at the time, I was highly upset.
I can imagine. Well, we love you. We know you're a talented individual. You're very professional. And anybody who ever needs to use your services on that professional level, I can highly recommend on that professional level, because you are amazing. You've helped us out with our computers several times. So thank you so very much. And yeah.
There you go, Mike. Have some eye candy to make yourself feel better.
Hello.
Well, we have a lot of news and a lot of links that we are not going to be getting to today. However, what else? Is there anything super important that you need to touch on, Mike, that you think we need to talk about?
Let me look through the list. I mean, there were some interesting discussion topics, but those are like going out the door now.
Yeah.
I mean, like the history of female Starfleet captains, I thought that was going to be an interesting discussion topic. The secret language of Starfleet uniforms, I thought also interesting. But there was the TNG cast. They were on
Family Feud?
No, not Family Feud. It was Perez Hilton. But Home and Family Feud is the name of the show. But they kind of like did this Family Feud-esque type game, and it was hilarious. So link is in the show notes.
Okay.
Let's see. There was a J.K. Woodward interview on StarTrek.com. There was a Trek talk that I thought was also interesting, bridging science and the arts. That I thought that was cool.
There was a lot of really cool stuff this week too.
Yeah.
And there's a lifetime subscription sale at Star Trek Online.
Mm-hmm.
And the Crystalline Entity event is back on.
Yeah.
Which I noticed last night. Replicator comes to Timelines. Is this a way for us to?
You can essentially convert some
items
materials that you currently have, throw in some energy credits, and you can craft essentially the item that you need.
Okay.
It's been out for a while.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. I think you only get one per day, and then if you're a VIP member, depending on your VIP level, you get a few more goes.
I think it's 4. I have 4.
I have 5.
4. Okay.
But I'm also at the high end of the VIP scale. So
I think I'm only at like 13.
So that's kind of cool. Let me see. Technology news: new bionic eye that connects to the brain wirelessly. I heard about that. That was pretty awesome. And the images that they have actually makes it look like Geordi's eyes from First Contact and the other films beyond that.
So we're bypassing his visor and going straight to the mechanical eyes.
Pretty much.
Yeah. They tried to do the visor thing, but it's just they couldn't get it nice and compact, so they just decided to go wireless.
I also saw an interesting article that somehow that stem cell implementation to a quadriplegic has resulted in the restoring of movement to his upper body.
Yeah, I saw that one as well.
Yeah, really amazing. Really amazing.
And then I had also posted this week on my own page was a potential cure using sonic ultrasonic waves to potentially cure Alzheimer's. So that's kind of a big deal too.
Yeah, that's amazing if that'll work.
Product news, as always, the blog will be up. It's up already, is it?
Yeah, that's
yes.
It's already
from
up.
last month.
Yeah.
It's the first of every month. Tells you what we discussed the
last
month.
30 days or so. Yeah.
Cool. And we already talked about the television news for the most part. We know that Brian Fuller is no longer the showrunner at Star Trek Discovery, but he's still the executive producer. That's kind of it for this week. I know that it was a big discussion on Axanar, but it has been a frustrating topic for all of us, and something that we don't want to stop talking about until the whole damn thing is over with. We do appreciate you hanging in with us and being with us as we express that frustration, because we do care so much about unofficial productions, and we don't want them to go the way of the dodo, because we all love them so much, and we just want to see things kind of go back to normal. And I know that'll never be the same, but damn it, thanks for listening.
We're in a post-Axanar world.
I don't know what that'll be like, but I can't wait for it to be. You know what? At the end of our goodbyes, Steve, you can do the closing credits after Nick does his sign-off. So that is it for this week, everybody. Until next week, live long and prosper.
Kabla.
Have a great week. Don't forget to write for NaNoWriMo. Woohoo!
See you next week.
Goodbye, everyone.
I'm just
Jolan?
a peanut gallery.
You're peanut, all right. Jolan True Bitches, GNT 259 11 16 26 11 6 2016 for Michael Hinman.
Music for the GNT show is provided by 5-Year Mission, Enterprise Blues Band, Warp 11, Andrew Allen, and Greth Thor. The GNT show is a BLB production.
Move ahead, walk back to 10. Put a mini skirt on my yo man. Represent the human race. And we make space a happy place. To boldly go where no man's gone before. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. We'll be so happy, can't you see? A zero-G community. Gonna travel to new worlds. Beam on down and meet some green girls. Gonna see what we can see. A fancy-free galaxy. To boldly go where no man's gone before. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. We'll be so happy, can't you see? A zero-G community. Come and take a tour with me. There'll be no cons or Kobayashi. Gonna travel to the end and make new friends with aliens. To boldly go where no man's gone before. Space happy. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. We'll be so happy, can't you see? A zero-G community. To boldly go where no man's gone before. Space happy. I think I sang that line once before, but I'm not too sure. We'll be so happy, can't you see? A zero-G